Hi, you're listening to the Grow Like a Mother podcast. This is a podcast for moms, entrepreneurs, and neurodivergent folks who want to get a better handle on their time and energy management. I am your host, Jill Wright, author of Happy, Healthy, Wealthy, and Wise, and the creator of the Time Magic Seasonal Planner. I am so excited you're here. Let's dive straight into today's episode. Welcome back to the Grow Like a Mother podcast. If you have ADHD, whether officially diagnosed or self-identified, and you've been feeling like time management is something that you really should have gotten good at by now, but you somehow have never quite mastered it, you are in the right place. It's not because you are lazy or broken or bad at adulting. It is because the tools that you've been given probably weren't designed for your brain. The overwhelm, the time blindness, the everything is important all at once spiral, right? Time can feel like it's slipping through your fingers. I don't have ADHD myself, but over the years I've worked with so many women who do, and I kept hearing the same thing, right? I've tried every planner, every app, every system, nothing sticks. And after a while, I was like, I literally can't ignore this anymore because it just kept coming up in conversations and in sessions everywhere. And so I got curious. As a 5-1 manifester does, I dove deep into the research on ADHD and time. I listened to my clients and I experimented until I got a collection of tools and strategies that actually work in real life. Yes, even on the busiest, most distracted, kid chaos filled days, it works, right? This is why people come to me now. Often my clients will recommend their friends come to me. It's one of the things I've been known for because people are starting to see real changes with these tools. They're feeling more in control, less frazzled, and they're actually enjoying their time again, which is so amazing. And bear with me, guys. If you're watching me, you'll see I've got water. It's my second time trying to record this podcast. My throat is getting very dry because I'm just so passionate about the topic, I guess. Dry throat means some water. So if you hear the occasional pause, this is all I'm doing. Okay. I wanted to tell you about one of my clients named Izzy. She came to me feeling super guilty, right? As so many of us do, for not spending enough time with her family. But then she was also overwhelmed with the never-ending work to-do list. So, like, what do you do? It's that mom guilt situation, right? She happened to be incredibly creative and intuitive, but what happened was she had a lack of clear structure in her life on how she was spending her time, and so she always felt behind. I also had a client, Sarah, who is a brilliant coach and a yoga instructor. And what happened with her is she would get these like bursts of motivation. Then she'd hit a wall and she'd spend hours scrolling on her phone instead of taking action, even on the things that she actually really wanted to do. Those are two examples. I wrote down a couple of other scenarios that I keep hearing in client sessions. And this is not like just one person, but multiple people have told me these things. So I thought it was worth just calling out if you may recognize yourself in some of these. Okay. I sit down to work on one thing, and then I suddenly realize I've spent 2 hours researching the perfect stock photo for a slide without actually starting the presentation, right? Or some version of this. How about this one? I start avoiding anything at all in the morning if I know that I have a 4 o'clock appointment because I don't trust myself not to lose track of time and be late. Or I swore I'd only scroll Instagram for 5 minutes before work, and every single time I look up and 45 minutes has passed, and I wonder what the hell happened. These are real, guys. These are actual things that happen to people. I imagine they are happening to you, especially if you're listening to this episode and have some version of ADHD or neurodiversity. If you relate to any of that, if time feels like it's either now or not now, right? If you struggle to estimate how long something's going to take, or if everything kind of feels equally urgent and important in your head, there are tools that can help. All is not hopeless, okay? And I want to share some of my favorite ADHD friendly strategies with you today, which are the same ones that I baked right into the Time Magic Planner. And plus, I'm going to share a few sort of quick start strategies for those days when you really just can't seem to get going. First things first, I want you to hear this. ADHD brains literally experience time differently. Your brain is not broken. It's just wired differently. And I'll tell you the same thing that I tell my autistic son. You can use this difference as your superpower, right? You're not wired for traditional planners. They're too structured, they're linear, they're boring. You're wired for interest, novelty, connection, not for rigid and colorless to-do lists, right? They expect you to plan like a factory worker in the Industrial Revolution, where every task is the same, takes the same amount of time, same every day. But life, especially as a mom or an entrepreneur, is definitely not linear. It is messy, it is beautiful, and it is unpredictable. And I think that is true for all of us, right? My client Mandy, she once told me that she tried time blocking, but every single time that she would miss a time block because life, she felt like she ruined the whole plan. And she went into this shame spiral, right? That is real. ADHD brains, for you, it's not just about what's on the page. It's also about how the page feels to use, right? So if you've bought a beautiful planner and filled in a couple of pages, and then after a few weeks it started collecting dust on your shelf, it's not because you can't stick to anything. It's the tool. And that's exactly what we are going to address today, right? Many of my clients feel like it's either right now or not now. And if today's a deadline, you're all in. But if it's next week, you might not even think about it until it's practically here. And then you can cue the last minute scramble. There's also something called time blindness, that feeling where you think 15 minutes has passed, but it's actually been an hour, or vice versa, right? That's how Mandy kept missing her lunch breaks and then crashing at 3 o'clock, wondering what the hell happened, why she felt so depleted. And then, of course, we cannot discount the mental load. Everything is in your head all at once, especially if you are a mom or business owner or both. Everything's clamoring for your attention. So you either bounce between tasks without really finishing anything, or you hyper focus on one thing for hours and you forget the rest of the world even exists. Traditional planners don't account for that. They assume that you can estimate time perfectly and stick to set time blocks and prioritize logically. But ADHD time management is actually about creating external supports. They can include visual cues, structure, and tools that keep your future self in the loop, even when the present moment wants all of your attention. When I designed the Time Magic Planner, my goal was to create something that would work with your brain instead of against it. I really wanted it to be flexible and forgiving. I wanted it to give you dopamine hits when you use it, to help you see your time and your progress, and to build in as much rest as productivity, right? It's one of the main pillars of time magic. And here's how this looks in real life. We use a 90-day format. It is a seasonal planner, so you are not committing to a whole year. It is just 3 months at a time, right? Which feels way less overwhelming. And bonus, you get a fresh start more often, 4 times a year. I love that fresh start feeling of a new planner. I don't know if you guys feel the same. It is like one of my most basic thrills in life. We also designed it so that the weekends and the weekdays are shaded differently, so they're visually distinct. So when your brain looks at it, you can instantly sort of see the flow of your week a lot easier. We focus on time confetti, of course. There's space to make a running list of those 5 and 10 minute tasks that you can do in those little scraps of time, the time confetti, for quick and satisfying wins, aka dopamine hits. And if you want to learn more about time confetti, just go back a few episodes. I did a whole episode on time confetti, and I will link that here for you as well, in case you're interested to dive in. It's one of my other favorite things to talk about. What else? Energy tracking, because your capacity changes, and that, is something you should plan around. One of my clients actually realized that her energy always dipped on Wednesday afternoons. And so now she schedules admin tasks instead of client calls during that time when she knows she's going to be low energy. We track our energy and our mood, right? Pattern tracking rather than habit tracking. So you can actually see what's really going on. You can use it to plan your most demanding work for your high energy days. And then you don't have to do those demanding high energy things when you know you're just going to be running on fumes. This can often be related to what your body is doing in your menstrual cycle or what the moon is doing as well. So it's really cool to track that. And if you've never done it, it's a really interesting place to start. Highly recommend, right? One of those two, or both, if you're feeling ambitious. The other thing I wanted to make sure you knew about in terms of ADHD tools in real life when we're talking weekly planning is making sure you build in some reflection, right? We want to celebrate your wins. We want to notice patterns. We want to make small adjustments without judgment, just so that you can notice what worked, what didn't, and adjust it for next time. And if you are curious about the planner or the time magic framework in general that you keep hearing me drone on and on about, I will link you back a few episodes to the full introduction that I read. It'll fill in all the blanks. If you're curious, it'll be in the show notes for you, or just hop back a couple episodes. Okay. Now, I want to talk to you about some of my favorite tips that actually work beautifully for ADHD brains in general, not necessarily related to a weekly plan, but just in general. I have a whole list of these on my website that's actually a free download. I'll put it in the show notes for you, but I wanted to just share a few of my favorite ones that you might not have heard before. First one, a morning brain dump, right? If you're carrying all of that, everything in your brain, you can't focus. And so I suggest that you empty your brain every single day on a piece of paper first thing in the morning to clear the mental clutter, and it can instantly reduce your overwhelm. So you start your day feeling clear and light. I want you to also consider splitting your to-do lists instead of one really big, overwhelming list. I want you to make three lists, one for a low energy day, one for if you had a medium energy day, and one if your day turns out to be high energy. And then you just pick which list you're going to do based on the energy level that you've got. So you can still accomplish everything on the list, but you don't have the guilt or the shame spiral because you feel like you didn't do enough, right? Which can happen if we're having a low energy day and we're looking at our one overwhelming to-do list, and there's no way we're going to finish it. Imagine if you were able to look at a low energy list with three things on it, get them all done, even though you're low energy. Amazing. One other thing that works super well is actually going back to analog clocks and analog timers, right? Seeing time pass with the ticking of a clock or the movement of the hands on the clock, it really helps with time blindness in a way that looking at a digital clock just can't compete with. So go to your local thrift store, get an old school clock or timer. Speaking of timers, one trick that works super well is when you're setting timers, make sure you're setting it for when you need to get ready, not for when you need to start the next thing, right? This one shift means that you can actually eliminate being late. You're going to no longer be running late because you didn't leave yourself time to pee or grab your bag or find your keys or put your shoes on. If you build in 5 or 10 minutes of transition time, it really eliminates like that feeling of being constantly late or rushing. Another ADHD time management tip is to boost the fun factor. It's important to add in an element of fun into the activities that you don't enjoy or that you dread, right? Bring ice cream to the team meeting or light a candle when you do your bookkeeping. Something like that can give you an instant boost of dopamine. This one you've probably heard, gamify everything, right? You want to race yourself. You want to try to beat the clock. You want to give yourself points based on what you can achieve. The only thing with this that I'll mention is to make sure that the rewards you're assigning yourself are actually meaningful to you and they actually motivate you. Don't just give yourself a generic like treat day. Like be specific, make sure it's something that actually means something to you or it's not going to be motivating. You can Google gamifying, whatever. There's so many different ways to do it. I won't go into that here, but if you're curious, you can send me a note and I'll dive into it with you again, or let me know if you want to have an episode on how to gamify things. I can do that too. People are interested. Last tip for this podcast, anyways, is to plan your week, not just your day. I know we've been talking about this already throughout this podcast, but seeing the big picture of your week when it's literally spread out in black and white in front of you, there's nothing that can beat that. You can instantly see where you're overwhelmed, where you don't have enough space, where you've overcommitted. I have a client who actually builds in a little bit of like a buffer day before things that are due, or big events so that she stops overcommitting herself and overpacking her schedule. And it's been a complete game changer for her. If you don't have the flexibility to build in a whole day, build in buffer hours around important things before and after. And I want you to remember as you're hearing all of these tools and tips, the goal isn't perfection, it's momentum. It's about finding little ways to work with your brain's wiring instead of working against it. Okay. Quick water break. Good. Uh, Something I've been hearing a lot about lately is procrastinating, right? My clients know what they have to do. They prioritized it and they even want to do it, but they just can't seem to get started. And I was recently inspired to create a list of like ways to trick your brain into starting for a client. And then I decided I actually wanted to share a few of those ideas here with you today. It fits really well into the theme of the episode. And I want you to remember, just like before, where I said the goal wasn't perfection, these aren't about willpower, right? They're about bypassing the mental wall and slipping into momentum. So here are a few things you can do if you're looking to just jumpstart a to do or an action, an activity, something you've been meaning to do and just can't get motivated to do. The first one is make yourself a 5 minute agreement. You literally just tell yourself, I'm only committing to doing this for 5 minutes. And often that's enough that when the 5 minutes is passed, you're like, well, I'm already in it. I'll just keep rolling, right? My client Heather uses this trick for cleaning her house. She's like, I'll just do 5 minutes in the kitchen. And before you know it, she spent 15 and the whole kitchen is tidied up. It's a great trick to get started. Another thing that I like to do every single day is set the scene, right? Creating a strong and consistent sensory cue that sort of signals it's go time. I put on a candle, right? Set a timer. You can put on a hat. You can cue up a playlist, anything like that that will sort of create an association in your brain between that thing and that activity or focused work time, right? A great tip as well is to move your body before you try to use your brain. You can get the dopamine naturally flowing in your body with even 30 seconds of like jumping jacks or dance party or just even stretching. If you want to get the dopamine going to create some natural motivation, get your body moving before you do the task. The more dreaded the task is, the longer you should move your body for. Okay. Another tip, make it smaller. Just break things down into small, manageable chunks. If the goal is write an article, right? Just make your to-do, open the Word doc and give it a title. Tiny, small steps, okay? And the last one, we've talked about this a lot, pair it with dopamine. If it's a task that you're dreading, pair it with dopamine. Add music or sunshine or your favorite drink. And so it feels better in your body when you're doing the task. Okay, are these foolproof hacks that will always work? No, of course they're not. But I challenge you, pick one that resonates with you and just try it for a week to see if you notice a difference because consistency will always win. So stay consistent, do something small, don't try them all at once. That is a surefire way to fail. And I don't want to be getting DMs from you being like, these didn't work because you tried everything at once. Don't make that mistake. Pick one thing, try it for a week, see if you like it. And if you don't, ditch it and try a different one. These are not meant to be a to-do list for you or something that is going to work for every single person. We are all beautifully unique and different. Some tools are going to work for you in your life, some tools are not. And the only way to figure that out is to try it. Okay? I know it was a lot of information, and trust me, I have way more where that came from, but I didn't want to overwhelm you. I hope it wasn't too much. And if you're still here listening, you're probably thinking like, okay, Jill, that's cool. I actually need more support with this. I want more of this in my life, but I can't figure it out on my own. So I wanted just to invite you to the Momentum membership. It is a new offer that I have, which is really wonderful and supportive. It's basically ongoing support for women like us who are ADHD brains or busy moms or multi-passionate entrepreneurs. And we want accountability, we want structure, and we want encouragement without pressure. We do weekly co-working, if I could get my words about me, weekly co-working sessions, right? I check in with you between these co-working calls on a private one-to-one strategy session where we can troubleshoot your schedule together and actually like plan your week. And you and I are going to communicate via voice note all week long. I'm going to be your cheerleader. I'm going to be your boss. If you are an entrepreneur and you need that sort of structure from someone telling you what to do when and holding you accountable. It's basically part accountability group, part productivity coaching, and part cheerleading squad. So if you want to take what we talked about today and actually put it into practice, this is the best way that I found to be able to do it successfully. We don't just talk about productivity, we make it happen together. Okay, I'm going to wrap this up, but here is your challenge this week, one more time, in case you missed it. Pick one tip from today and try it. Don't overcomplicate it, just one, okay? Because small, doable steps are how we build sustainable systems. And if you want to grab your Time Magic Planner, or if you want to check out that Momentum membership that I mentioned, I'll just link everything in the show notes, as well as the episodes that I mentioned as well. Please remember, please, please, please remember, your brain is brilliant. You don't need to change who you are to manage your time. You just need tools that work with your wiring. And that's exactly what I'm here for. So until next week, keep on growing like a mother.